Night was not bedtime. For most of human history, night was the part of the day trying hardest to kill you. No streetlights, no locked doors, no glass windows, no phone flashlight, no police coming if something screamed outside your shelter. Just darkness. And somewhere beyond the firelight, something with better eyes, better ears, sharper teeth, and more patience was waiting for one person to walk too far from the group. So why are humans still afraid of the dark? Because for thousands of generations, the dark was not empty. It was hunting us. Right now, night is basically inconvenience with mood lighting. You turn off the lights, climb into bed, maybe scroll your phone until your eyes burn, and if you hear a strange sound outside, your first thought is probably, was that the AC? Or did Amazon drop something off? Your ancestors did not have that luxury. If they heard something move outside at night, it could be wind. It could be a branch. It could be another person. Or it could be a predator standing completely still, waiting for the fire to fade. That was the problem with night. You didn't know, and not knowing was dangerous enough to shape the human brain. Let's start with the obvious. Humans are bad at night. Not kind of bad. Embarrassingly bad. A cat can walk through darkness like it pays rent there. Owls can hunt by sound. Wolves can smell what happened hours ago. Big cats can sit in tall grass and watch you without making a sound. You? You trip over a shoe in your own bedroom. Our eyes are built for daylight. We can see color well. We can notice detail. We can read faces, track hands, throw things with accuracy, and notice tiny changes in expression. Great skills. Absolutely useless when the sun disappears and the world turns into one giant shadow. At night, your depth perception gets worse. Your reaction time drops. Your brain starts filling in missing information because it hates not knowing what is in front of you. That pile of clothes becomes a person. That tree branch becomes an arm. That sound behind you becomes whatever your brain thinks is most likely to kill you. And most of the time, your brain is being dramatic. But for your ancestors, dramatic was useful, because sometimes the shadow actually had teeth. For millions of years, early humans and our ancestors lived in a world where the night belonged to predators. Leopards, hyenas, wolves, lions, snakes, crocodiles near water, and other humans who were not always friendly. And predators love unfair fights. They do not walk up at noon and announce themselves like cartoon villains. They wait. They stalk. They use darkness, tall grass, silence, and confusion. A leopard does not need to beat a whole group of humans. It only needs one child too far from the fire, one old person walking alone, one hunter coming back late, one moment where the group is tired, hungry, distracted, and the fire is low. That is all nature needs. One mistake, and for a long time, humans made those mistakes. We know this because ancient bones sometimes tell ugly stories. Early human ancestors were not always the hunters. Sometimes they were dinner. Predators left tooth marks on skulls. They dragged bodies into caves. They broke bones the way animals break bones when they are trying to get to the marrow inside. That is not a movie scene. That is archaeology quietly telling us, yeah, humans were on the menu. And here is the worst part. We were not built like animals that should survive this. We had no claws, no armor, no night vision, no venom, no serious bite, no fur thick enough to protect us from cold nights. Our babies were basically loud little survival liabilities with giant heads and no ability to run from anything. A newborn deer can stand quickly. A baby horse can walk soon after birth. A human baby spends months looking around like it just downloaded Earth and doesn't know the controls yet. Cute? Yes. Useful during a predator attack? Absolutely not. So imagine being an ancient parent at night. The fire is dying. The wind is moving through the grass. Your child cries. And somewhere out there, an animal that hunts by sound turns its head. That kind of fear gets burned into a species, not as weakness, as memory. Because the humans who ignored night did not leave as many descendants. The ones who were careful did. The ones who got nervous when the fire went low. The ones who heard a twig snap and woke up. The ones who stayed close to the group. The ones who saw shapes in the dark even when nothing was there. Those are the ones who survived long enough to become us. So, if you still feel weird walking through a dark hallway after watching a scary movie, congratulations. That is not just fear, that is ancient software. A little outdated maybe, a little dramatic, definitely. But it comes from a time when being wrong in one direction was harmless, and being wrong in the other direction got your face removed by a leopard. Think about it. If you hear a sound in the dark and assume it is nothing, but it is something, you die. If you assume it is something but it is nothing, you feel stupid for 5 minutes. Evolution is very comfortable making you feel stupid if it keeps you alive. That is why humans became pattern machines. A shadow was not just a shadow. It could be a crouching animal. A noise was not just a noise. It could be footsteps. A smell, a broken branch, a bird suddenly going quiet, all of it mattered. Night trained humans to pay attention. And then came the thing that changed everything. Fire. Fire was not just warmth. Fire was the first wall, the first light, the first security system, the first little circle of, maybe we don't die tonight. Before fire, darkness swallowed everything. After fire, humans created a bubble of day in the middle of the night. And that bubble mattered. Predators do not like fire. Even today, many large animals avoid it. Flames move strangely, smoke stings the nose, heat hurts, sparks jump. Fire is unpredictable, and predators do not enjoy unpredictable. A lion understands meat. It understands weakness. It understands running prey. But a glowing orange thing that bites back if you touch it? No thank you. That tiny circle of firelight changed the rules. Inside it, humans could see faces. Outside it, predators had to think twice. And that pause was everything. Because humans are dangerous when given time to think. Fire gave us extra hours after sunset. Before that, night meant hide, stay quiet, wait for morning. After fire, night became usable. People could repair tools, cook food, keep warm, watch the edge of the dark, talk, plan, remember. And most importantly, stay together. Because fire alone was not enough. A fire with one person beside it is fragile. A fire with 10 people around it is a warning. Someone feeds the flames. Someone listens. Someone watches the children. Someone notices movement. Someone wakes the others. That is how humans survived the night. Not by becoming less afraid, by becoming afraid together. There is a big difference. Alone, fear breaks you. In a group, fear becomes information. One person says, I heard something. Another says, from where? Another grabs a spear. Another pulls the children closer. Another throws more wood on the fire. That is not panic. That is a system. And for ancient humans, the group was the real shelter. Not the cave, not the branches, not even the fire. The people. Because at night, being alone was one of the worst things that could happen to you. Today, being alone sounds peaceful. Quiet room. No messages. Nobody bothering you. Back then, being alone meant every sound belonged to you. Every shadow was your problem. Every predator only had to beat one body. And your body was not exactly impressive. Let's be honest. A human by itself is weirdly pathetic for an apex species. Soft skin, awkward running, bad night vision, tiny teeth, can't even sleep outside without inventing 10 accessories. But humans together? That is different. Together, humans could keep watch. Together, humans could throw stones. Together, humans could carry fire. Together, humans could surround a threat, drive it off, remember where it came from, and teach the children what to listen for. That is the part people miss. Night did not just make humans scared. Night made humans social. It forced people closer. It made the campfire the center of life. And around that fire, something even stranger happened. Stories. There is a reason humans tell scary stories in the dark. Not at noon. Not while carrying groceries. At night. Around a flame. When faces are half lit and everything outside the light looks alive. That habit is ancient. Because once the fire was burning and the predators were held back, the human brain did what it always does. It made meaning. Someone told the story of the animal they saw near the river. Someone warned the children about the place where the big cat waits. Someone remembered the ancestor who survived a night alone. Someone explained the strange lights in the sky. Someone turned fear into a lesson. And over time, lessons became stories. Stories became myths. Myths became spirits, monsters, gods, warnings, taboos, and traditions. The dark gave humans questions. The fire gave them a place to answer. Why did the bushes move? Why did the moon disappear? Why do the dead visit dreams? Why do children vanish when they wander too far? Maybe not every monster in human imagination was invented from nothing. Maybe some of them started as real things breathing just outside the light. And that is what makes night so important. It did not only threaten humans, it helped create human culture. The campfire was not just where people stayed warm, it was where memory lived. It was where elders taught children what danger sounded like. It was where hunters explained tracks. It was where groups bonded, laughed, warned, mourned, and planned tomorrow. During the day, you could scatter. At night, you came back. The darkness gathered people. Which is strange when you think about it. The thing humans feared most may be one of the reasons we became so human. Because fear made us pay attention. Fire made us gather. Gathering made us talk. Talking made us remember. And remembering made us survive. Then, much later, we started beating night more completely. Torches, oil lamps, candles, hearths, lanterns, streets with lights, electricity, headlights, phone screens, motion sensors, doorbell cameras. We pushed darkness farther and farther away until night stopped feeling like a predator and started feeling like a setting. Now night is when restaurants look nice, when cities glow, when people go out for fun, when you complain because your bedroom is too bright to sleep. We conquered the dark so completely that most people forgot it was ever a war. But your brain did not fully forget. That is why a dark window at night feels different from a dark wall. That is why you do not like looking into a black basement. That is why a sound outside at 3 a.m. hits harder than the same sound at 3 p.m. Your body knows something your modern life keeps trying to deny. Night used to matter. A lot. And your ancestors respected it because disrespecting it got people killed. They did not survive because they were fearless. Fearless people probably walked into the dark and became a lesson. They survived because they were careful. Because they listened. Because they stayed close. Because they kept the fire alive. Because they turned fear into stories and stories into memory. Tonight, when you turn off the lights, nothing is probably waiting outside your room. Probably. You are safe behind walls, locks, glass, electricity, and thousands of years of human invention. But that tiny feeling in your chest when the room goes black? That is old. Older than cities. Older than farming. Older than the idea of a bedroom. It comes from people who sat around fires while the dark pressed in from every side. People who knew that the night was not empty. People who survived it anyway. And because they did, you get to call darkness bedtime. If you want more stories about the brutal world your ancestors survived, subscribe to Repaint History.